Well, good morning, everybody. How many would agree with this statement that if I get joy out of what I do, I tend to be better at what I do? How many agree with that? Yeah, so we know that that's a great indicator of somebody who's really going to do well at what they do. And so what are some of the things that we can do to intentionally boost that joy? That's always my question. That's what I'm pursuing. You know, we think about our physical health a lot, and we know that there are certain processes that we can choose that will absolutely create results. I know that when I choose what it is I eat, my physical intake is going to have an effect. I eat enough of those Little Debbies that Al was handing out, then you know what? I'm going to see some results from that. It won't be the results I want, but they're undeniable. That's going to happen. But we don't think a lot of times about sometimes the emotional intake, the mental intake, the words that we speak. There was some research just published recently by a doctor by the name of James Pennebaker, and he said people who use positive words to talk about their health tend to do a little better health-wise, that they actually recover from the illness more quickly, and that they are healthier overall just because they use positive words. That's intake. That's what we take in mentally, the conversations we have, the company we keep, even the entertainment we choose. You know, I was watching a program a few years ago that taught me a good lesson about this. How many have seen the program? I don't know that it's on anymore, but I think it's some version of it is on the Discovery Channel. A reality program called Trauma, Life in the ER. Yeah. Yeah. You love that show? Yeah. Why? I don't know. Honestly, I was talking to a group of trauma nurses one time, and I said, how many watch that show? And oh, we all do. And I said, why? Do you not get enough pain and suffering in your jobs? You have to go live it vicariously through. I was an English teacher for a lot of years. I didn't come home at night and say, any programs about kids who can't write topic sentences, because I didn't get enough of that today. No. But this is what they were watching. So they brought a man in this one episode that I watched that taught me this lesson. He had, and raise your hand if you saw this episode so people know I'm not making it up. He had a 9-inch knife in his head. You saw it. Yes, right? Not making it up. 9-inch knife in his head. They actually had an x-ray of his skull in profile, knife in the head. And I looked at that, I was horrified, and I thought, I don't know much about medicine. Do you really need an x-ray to diagnose that particular problem? Right, did they come back and like, Bob, we have the pictures back, and I think we've tracked down the source of that discomfort. According to this, you have a big knife in your head. Did you see that? So the difficulty was, what do we do? So they brought together, because if you just touch it, he could die. So you can't walk up there like, I am Arthur, King of the Britons, and yank it out of there. You've got to be delicate. So they brought together a team of neurosurgeons to talk about, what do we do? One of them actually floated the possibility, again, not making it up. What if we left it in? That's an option? How did he get in here? I couldn't believe it, and they didn't do that. They actually were able to remove the knife, and the man made a pretty amazing recovery. But I thought, what if they'd done that? How would you even break the news to the patient, that's the direction you're going? Would you come in with kind of a good news, bad news approach? You know, Bob, we have some good news and some bad news. The good news is your hat's not going to blow off so often. There is a downside, though. You're going to want to avoid thunderstorms and horseshoe tournaments. That's really off the old bucket list. So I was horrified. I didn't sleep that night because all I could see was this knife in this man's head. I was horrified. And I realized that was mental intake, and it was causing me stress. It was eroding my joy. Is it right for everyone? No. You have your own set of sensibilities. But for me, that was a choice I had to make. Because physically, we know that there are things that we do that create absolute certain outcomes. Now, summer is over, and of course, during the summer, you saw a lot of men out in their neighborhoods cutting their grass. And what do men do when it's hot out and they're cutting? They strip their shirts off, right? And there are two kinds of men who do this. There are men who are just proud of their bodies, and then there are men who really shouldn't, right? It's not a mutually exclusive group. A lot of men think they look pretty good. Because I tell you what, this is the thing about men. We are all pretty happy with what we see. We are. I mean, women, they will stand in front of a mirror and go like, look, I've got crow's feet, I got pit pudge, I got muffin top, I got cankles. Men, we step out of the shower. I don't care. You could look like a garden gnome reflected in a car window. Doesn't matter. We're going to stand in front of the mirror going, not bad. You know? So, I have a friend of mine he's one of these guys who is really fit. So I asked him one day, I said, what do you do What's that process? You know, I would like to look like that. Well, this guy is from, like a lot of the folks here today, he has this wonderful Southern accent, you know. And I love to hear him talk, because everything he says sounds so nice and hospitable. He can say, why don't you get off my lawn? You go, thank you. You know, it feels nice. So he said, well, Dave, what I do is I just pump iron, lift weights. He goes, I could take you down to the gym. He says, in fact, I could show you 6 basic exercises, work every major muscle group in your body. Why, 24 workout hours, you could have a body you'd be proud of. Finally, which I didn't think was necessary. But I was excited because I thought, 24 hours, I'm going to be buff by the weekend. This is awesome. And then I learned workout hours are like dog years, not the same measurement of time. It's 1 hour each day, 3 days a week for 8 weeks. That's how long it takes to see a result. But I went, and he said, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the lower body muscles. He says, so we're going to start with some squats. Now, you know what squats are? I put the barbell on the shoulder, squat way down, come back up. And it hurt. But I did it, and I got up, and I said, I did it. And he said, well, don't get too excited. That's just one. He said, we're going to do 9 more of those in our first set. And then we're going to do 5 other exercises, do 3 sets each, right? So I did that math in my head, and the answer was, no, we ain't. There's no way that is happening today or any other day. But I tried. I got through maybe, I don't know, 6, 7 more of these, and I'm pushing, sweat is in my face, pain shooting down all the muscles in my lower body. Finally, I stopped, and I said, what do we get out of this exercise? He says, Dave, you do this exercise for the next 8 weeks, you're going to have a butt that'll crack walnuts. I said, that's what we're working toward? I put the weight down. I said, I don't want one. I said, it's just not a skill I see myself using all that often, you know. Not even as a party trick, I don't think, honestly. But my question is this. If I had continued with that, is there any doubt at all that I would have seen a result? No, absolutely. You know why? Because it's a process. And processes, when we trust a certain process to create a certain definite outcome, then that makes a reliable process. So what I'm always looking for, what are reliable processes that can get us to that place where we create the kind of joy that can make us more effective in the way that we connect with each other, and more effective at how we provide service and create culture. And I find that, you know, that a lot of the organizations I work with, they're talking about their problems. They said, look, we have problems with employee engagement, which we know 70% of employees in the workforce out there are not fully engaged in what they do. That doesn't change year after year. Then only 7% say that they fully trust their coworkers and their leaders to have their backs. So the workplace is broken. There's a breakdown in relationships. But there are things that we can do. Right now, I'm going to ask you to do me a little favor here. I want you to turn to somebody beside you, behind you. They've got name tags on. Use their name, and I want you to thank them warmly for coming here today. All right, go ahead. Give everybody, somebody some thanks. I feel good. And I've got to ask something. I have never asked a group to do that where they just did the request and thank you. They didn't do that. It always takes a while. You know why I think that is? I think we got a lot of pent-up gratitude. I think we need to have sometimes some permission to say, express that. So if you took nothing else away from today, nothing else, here's one thing that will change almost everything in your culture. Don't let another day go by that you don't express intentionally thanks to someone who's added value to your life. It can be a phone call. It can be a word person to person, an email, a text, whatever form it takes. But every single day you commit to saying, I will express thanks. And that is one thing that's a joy hack, because it changes relationships, connections, it changes cultures. Little simple things like that. It's really amazing how sometimes the simplest things have the most profound impact. You know, there are things like the ratio of positive to negatives can tell us how healthy a marriage is, can tell us if there's really a good relationship in the work teams. That if we have a 3 positive to every one that's less positive, we can have hard conversations without spoiling the relationship. That there are things like human touch, just the physical touch, really does make a difference in how we connect. So we touch each other. Now, don't linger. I will tell you that. Don't linger, you know. But human touch, the high five, these things make a difference. They really do. And so one of the things that you've heard already today, several speakers talk about, is the importance of humor. Shared humor. You know, humor is really an important tool to bond people together. It's what families share. They tell their families, there's family humor. Humor that's shared. And so I want to find ways to create that. Well, you know, one of the most important ways that we can share and touch and connect with one another is what we laugh at together. And humor binds people together in a way that's more effective than almost anything else, except maybe disaster. You know, disaster, we put aside all of our differences and we rush to the aid of others. But we don't want to engineer disasters just to build team. And you're like, we need some team spirit, start a fire. No, don't do that. So instead, we want to find ways to share laughter. So if you're not funny, you say, well, how does that work for me? I'm not a funny person. That's okay. You can use the primary humor response. What's the primary humor response? What's the first thing you do in a humor situation? Is it laugh? Now, some people do. They just go from serious to, but they're creepy. Kind of creepy, right? I think we really go through a transition phase. What's that? Yeah, it's that smile, that first smile. But the humor smile is not just any smile. It's one called the Dechaine Smile. And that's based on a work of a 19th century French neurobiologist. But it's the smile that indicates real joy, and it infects others with that. So on your tables there in front of you, you have straws. And you were thinking, I thought we were getting milkshakes. No. But I'm going to show you a little exercise that will, in less than 1 minute, tell your brain that you are in a joyful place and change your mood. This is really going to be helpful, I promise you. Okay, everybody have your straws? All right. So what's important in the Dechaine Smile is we create the little network of wrinkles around the eyes. So hold your straws out in front of you right here. About an inch or so from the top, I want you to just carefully peel that off right there. Oh, lovely. Okay, now take that little cap off of there. And because that little inner 6-year-old has never quite gone away, go ahead and indulge him right now. Hey, Mike, tell Nito I'll clean this up, okay? All right, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your straw. I want you to place it lightly between your teeth, all right? And what I'm going to ask you to do is just continually push that straw backwards, but don't let your upper lip touch it, all right? All right, as far as you can go. You go a little farther, go a little farther. Because the farther back you go without letting that upper lip touch, the more Dechaine Smile you show. That's it. Now, all you have to do is hold that for 1 minute. Now think about what you could do with this. You have people you probably work with who are negative. They want to come and they would dump on you all their problems. Keep some straws handy, right? And when they come in with all of their complaints, you say, I'll listen to everything you say, but first, ding. Now tell me all about it. And they will stand in front of you going, I am so pissed off. That's the Dechaine Smile. These things are by design a little silly, but I tell you what, they are small things, they're effective, and they're one small thing that can change everything. Thank you so much.